And the Oscar goes to
I've got to win this one. I bribed everyone in Hollywood.
George C. Scott in Man Getting Hit by Football.
Zigok.
Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a crack at the high-grade Zigok Seed Freedom version. First things first, we gotta build it. So the Seed Freedom version of the Zigok comes with a weird plain backpack thing. I haven't seen the anime that it belongs to, so I can't provide context for that. But generally, I don't like how this looks, so I am looking to alter it significantly to be a bit more, obviously, realistic or toned down. So the first step of this process is going to be getting rid of the main nose here of the plane. After that, I want to get rid of the actual wings themselves. After getting rid of those two things, like I have done here, I'm going to get rid of this back fin as well. So after getting rid of all those three parts, here's what I'm left with. And I think it's a lot less busy. And because of that, I can make something a bit more visually interesting. So it's going to be more focused on the main body and not on the back wings. So for one of the arms, I wanted to do something a bit interesting. I didn't want to use one of the shields. To that end, I had one of the leftover shoulder rocket launchers from the high-grade Stark Jigen. I thought it'd be pretty cool to toss it on there. In order to do this, I did have to do some snipping of those stubs. But that was a rather simple process. As for actually keeping it on the arm, I simply used glue in this case. I tend to use glue in most of my projects here, but this was probably the least amount I've had to use on a project so far. So here's the kit, pre-priming or anything like that, just to get a general idea of what the end product's going to look like. But it looks really cool in my opinion. I'm really glad I made those changes to the backpack. The next things to deal with in this case were the exposed areas in the head where the former horn was, and the two side areas where the wings were coming out of. To that end, I simply used some standard milliput and just filled in those gaps. So you can see here, this kit did come with a secondary head that I didn't end up using, but yeah, just put it into those gaps, smoothed it out as best as I could, and it hardened after a few hours. After that, I disassembled the kit into its individual components and busted out the primer and the gray spray paint, as my primary base coat was going to be gray in this case. So here's the kit just primed. After this, I would disassemble it again into its individual components and hand paint details as needed. I did think this kit needed some character, so to fit that, I decided to go the way of hazard stripes, which I tend to use a lot in Warhammer. So in order to facilitate this, I use some masking tape, and you have to layer on a lot of yellow to make sure that it really goes through, because it's a very transparent paint, especially because you have to use thin layers. So after multiple layers, you should get something resembling this. After that, you can lay more masking tape down and get your blacks on. From there, you can take off your tape after waiting a while to get these satisfying lines. It's kind of an awkward tape pull for me here, to be honest. I didn't get it all off in one go, but I'll get some cleanup after this and you'll see the end result a bit better. My secret to hazard stripes tends to be not cheaping out too much on the masking tape. The standard stuff you would find at your local hardware store is not usually going to cut it. You tend to need to go to your hobby store to find some good stuff. And thicker black layers because you don't want thin stuff running under the tape if you can help it. So here's a little bit better of a look. As you can see, I do need to do some cleanup on here, but that's only natural with hand painting details on a Gunpla kit such as this. Just the nature of the beast. After that, I also did one of the arm shields, the only one that's remaining. Also in hazard stripes, going down the middle to different directions, which was a first time thing for me, but I think it came out looking pretty good. It's a little bit janker there on the right side on that one stripe, as you can see. I think I did try to go in and clean it up later. I'm just not sure how successful I was, to be honest. After that, I grabbed an off-white color that was slightly more white than the gray I was using. Using this, I just wanted to space out some of the kit's details and break up some of that negative space that was very heavy with the light gray there. So I think this came out looking pretty good. It's going to look a bit better later when the kit is weathered and it looks a bit more appropriate. Then I did some of the obvious stuff such as painting your metallics on the various areas and some darker grays on various bits on the legs, the arms, the chest. Taking a closer look at the head and the chest here, I just used your standard lead belcher or gunmetal if you would rather call it that. You know, I think it is a bit basic, but it really does bring out a lot of those details and it looks quite nice. So here's the kit before doing any extravagant details. The leg isn't done even though we already went over that with the hazard stripes. I did that later. I was just using the leg as a good example as that's when I had a video of me pulling off the tape. My idea for the claws in this case were to do something super hot. To that end, I wanted to do granulating colors from a dark red to a bright yellow, from the bottom of the claws to the tips. I do know how to do this effect quite well in miniatures, however I did get very impatient in this case with the claws because there are 6 of them and they're double-sided, meaning I would have to do it 12 times. In miniatures, I would only have to do it twice, and it takes a very long time because you're doing incredibly thin layers that are thinned out with water. In this case, I made a compromise and didn't do very thin layers at all, to be honest, but I think it still looks quite alright. It was time for the least favorite part of anybody's kit, and that is the decals. So again, just your standard water slide ones. I was having some difficulty again with them as I usually do, and quite frankly, I wasn't happy with my placement. I thought they'd look pretty bad. So I actually just removed all of them. This was a first time for me. It took me quite a while to do this, and it was weird because, I did all that work and I kind of threw it out the window. But I felt the end result speaks for itself, and I felt I went with the right choice. So first thing I wanted to do is clean up my work before I actually go back to doing any decals. So I cleaned up the leg a bit. I think it looks quite a lot better. I kind of went in there with some panel liners to fix up those edges. I did some custom paint on the other leg to signify, kills as if he's like a pilot, so to speak. And on the backpack, I also did a little hazard stripe thing. I didn't use masking tape there for the black lines, and I kind of regret that. I think it looks kind of shitty, but it's all right. The barrels there, I did a heat effect, so they look quite hot, as you can see, and I think that looks quite nice. Didn't go too crazy in the backpack, but that's all right. And then on the claws, again, I did a heat effect in the middle as if they could shoot lasers, and I did a little lens there on the missile launcher. Likewise, I did the same effect on the hips as well. So this is the same effect I did on my recent World War II Stark Jigen themed kit. So you can find the details for that there if you'd like. So for the actual decals part, I finally bit the bullet, said fuck it, and got the good stuff, the mark fitter and softener and all that good stuff, and by golly, it worked. It worked really well. The decals look a lot better. They are much more solid and firm. I can't believe I was using water this whole time, quite frankly. I'm ashamed. We're going to take a look at the effect of the decals a bit closer, as well as some general weathering that I did on it. Nothing too overboard, some dry brushing of metallics, and a little bit of other stuff that we'll see here in a little bit. But yeah, the decals came out great, so they're really solid on there. You don't see nearly as much glare as you do as if you just use water. The leg here cleaned up quite a lot from how we've last seen it, so I think that looks quite a bit better as well. The backpack as well, did a little bit of weathering on there. Did some dirt and grime on the back. Some other decals. Nothing too crazy. Try to go for more of a minimalistic approach. I also use this technical paint from the Warhammer store to create more of a grimy and dirty effect on the metallic areas of the arms and the legs. And of course, the last thing to do is get everything lined up for a few flat coats, of which I did on a humid day, so it looks a little jank. But anyways, enjoy. Well, I want to thank you very much for sticking around to the end of the video with me. I hope you enjoyed the kit as much as I did. It's a bit different for me. I'm used to doing weird, dumb bullshit, so this was a bit more straightforward, and therefore it was quite fun. Yeah, I never know how to end these, so, yeah, have a good one.